So now, as I always mention, if you have watched any other tutorials for me, if you want to create like depth into any of your visuals, you need to have several layers in depth. Okay, what does this mean? It means like you need to have 4 elements, okay, which is called the background. Okay, and these background parts, like these mountains, should be hazy, it should be not contrasty, and it should not be having a lot of details. Okay, because we don't want it to distract our eyes. This is just supporting our eyes. This is the third thing that we want our viewer to see. And then we have the middle ground, which is number 2. So this is more contrasty. It has more contrast than this one. And generally it is the focal point. It's not necessary. These what I'm saying now is not like rules that you should or you must follow. You can break them however you want, but this way works for me at least. Okay, so this is the second layer, which is a little bit closer to the camera or to your eye, and it's called the middle ground or the mid-ground. And the last thing is the near element. It is the most contrasty element into your visual, which will be these rocks, this man. He will be one of our focal points, and maybe these trees. It's very close, so it's a little bit dark. It's contrasty, and it doesn't have a lot of atmospheric effect. Okay, and another thing I want to mention here is that I used here the rule of third of the composition rules. If you don't know what's the rule of third, it's basically when you split your canvas into 3 sections, these 4 points, the intersection points, are the points that will be in which you can put your focal points. Okay, because this rule just shows the focal point, which is this man and this palace, in a nice and relaxing way to the eye, and at the same time it just shows you or tells you the relationship between this man and the environment, because it shows you this man into a proper place. It's not here, it's not neglected like this tree. So for example, this tree is not that important. It's just supporting our frame or our visual, so it's not important. So it's in the edge of the tree, of the composition. But this man is in a very important point of this image, the same as this palace. So these 2 things, the palace and this man, are the most important things into our visual, and the other things are supporting the story. I hope you understand this point. This is something you need to understand to know how to tell visual stories. Okay, so for now we have created the background, the midground, and let's care about putting the foreground parts. So for the foreground, I chose this image. Let's put it into Photoshop, and let's firstly close all these projects. And now let's care about selecting these rocks from the background. Here I think we can use channels. Let's see. Yeah, we have a lot of contrast here in the blue channel that we can use to split the foreground from the background. So how can we do this? We will simply right click into the blue channel, duplicate a channel, and then press OK. And then let's unhide this and hide this one. And then our target here is to make the objects that should be visible into white or black and then invert it. And then the other will be in the opposite color. Okay, so we can start with levels by pressing Ctrl L and then try to make this part as black as possible, and at the same time try to make the sky as white as possible. We want this contrast between the white and the black, and we will use this contrast to split our picture. Okay, this is nice. Maybe we can just use the black brush and let's paint over these parts, but here we can use this square brush, yeah, to just paint here. We will select everything here and then here also, and then let's press X to change the color into white, and let's just erase this part. I don't think it looks nice, so let's bring this brush and let's just paint over here. Very nice. Now let's make this big and let's paint with white here. Very nice. Now it's time to work in these edges. So for these edges, we'll use the same trick we used before. So I will change the blend mode of the brush into overlay, and let's bring our maybe hard rounded brush, and with white color I will just paint over here. By using this trick, we will not affect on the complete black pixels. We will only affect the middle gray pixels that are a little bit bright. Okay, and we will press OK to use the black and do the same thing here, but don't overdo this because we don't want fringes. Okay, so I'm toggling between white and black with the X button in the keyboard. Whenever I want to paint here, I use white and then use black to paint inside our selection. That's very nice. Let's change the blending mode again into normal, and we can simply paint over here. I think we can just use the quick selection and then press Ctrl or Alt backspace, and it did a great job. Very nice. So now let's press Ctrl and press into this channel and get back to the layers, and let's create a mask. Very nice. Press Ctrl I to invert the mask, and we have a very good selection, as you can see here. So let's bring this image into our main composite and let's put it right here. Let's make it smaller and let's put it above everything. Here I think it's a very good place. Very nice, very nice. I think we can make it smaller because the guy or the man will be, I want him to be here with his horse. So I want this rock, I want him to stand on this rock. Very nice. Let's duplicate this and right click, Control T and then right click, flip horizontal, and let's put it right here. Put it behind it, and maybe we can make it bigger. Let's see if it's gonna work. Yeah, very nice. Very, very nice. Press enter and see. It looks good. Looks good, at least for me. Okay, let's just erase some of these edges. Yeah, because it looks very sharp and we want to blend it in a nice way. Very nice. Now let's care about, oops, there are some edges here. Let's erase them. I'm not sure if you are seeing it, if you are seeing them, but there are some white pixel around this image and this one, so I'm just trying to erase it. Okay, now it's time to bring our main guy and let's select it. I think here it has a lot of details. So what about selecting it with channels? Let's see. It has good contrast. I think we can select it with channels, but we can do this with the red channel this time. So let's just duplicate this red channel and let's try to select it. So let's press Ctrl L, try to increase the blacks and see if it's gonna work or not. Oops, I think it's gonna work, but it's gonna take some time. Okay, so it's okay to take all the time in the world to select some important elements into your visual. So here I'm using the overlay brush mode and trying to refine these edges, the hairs. Oops, let's bring the brush again, and with, I think you already understand the main idea behind this. Just using the overlay blending mode. Maybe here we can decrease the flow of the brush because it's pretty hard to select these edges without fringes. So what I'm trying to do is to simply separate the edges without any distortion of the pixels. Okay, here, the blacker the edge, the easier it will be when selection. So for example here, this edge is going to be very easy. Maybe we can increase the flow a little bit and see. Okay, here. So I think you got the point, and maybe I will increase or speed up the process here so that we don't have a very long class. So I will speed up the process and get back to you. So this is the best thing I could get. It's not perfect, of course, but let's make this as a start. So let's press Ctrl and press into this channel and let's create a mask. Okay, press Ctrl I to invert the mask and let's see. All right, of course it needs a lot of tweaking, so let's just put any color, solid color in the background, and let's see. Oops, let's make this maybe white. Yeah, and let's use a polygonal lasso tool quickly to remove all these unwanted edges. We could of course use the pen tool. I don't know if it would take longer time or not. I think it would take a longer time because we have a lot of small and detailed edges. So I suppose it's gonna take a lot of time. So whatever the way looks good for you, you can use. I'm just giving you a way. Okay, so let's just select this quickly and then press Ctrl I to invert the mask. Oops, Ctrl Shift I. I kinda forgot the shortcuts. And then press D and then press Alt backspace or Control backspace. Oops, here into the mask. Press Control backspace. It depends on the color that is here. Okay. Then we need to paint inside our picture. So we need to paint here, of course, with the normal brush. Let's get into the mask, press Alt and C. Yeah, we need to paint all over all these parts that are black. Okay, and that's it. Right, guys, this was the selection. Takes some time, higher than what I have expected, but I think it's worthy. Okay, so now I wanted to refine this hair part. So I just make the brush very small and I painted some hair strands here. Because I don't like how this part looks somehow jaggy or something, which is not looking professional. So let's just paint some hair strands. I'm just painting with mask. Of course, you can paint with another layer with any color, but for me, I'm just painting with the mask itself. Okay. Okay, that looks good enough, I think. Let's paint here and here. Very nice. Maybe if we brought a brush, a hair brush, it would be better, but it's okay. Very good. Now let's take this picture and let's drag it and drop it into our main composite. Yes, Control T, right click, flip horizontal, and let's put him right here. Here, this is a little bit tricky because we want to think about the right size of the man corresponding to the whole scene. So let's just put him here and see if it makes sense or not. I think it looks nice, and we can of course make it bigger or smaller later, but we forgot to create a smart object, so let's just Control Z and convert it into a smart object. Right click or press Control T, sorry, and then right click, flip horizontal, and then make it smaller. Because if we didn't do that, the image will be pixelated if we make it small and then we resize it and make it large again. So we just make it smart object. Okay, very nice. Control T, make it a little bit bigger. Very nice, very nice. Okay, now the last thing is the trees in the right and the left, and for this I found this PNG image of trees. The main problem with them is that they have some fringes around the edges, So let's just create a solid color and let's try to get rid of these fringes here. We can do this by a filter, but actually let's try to use the minimum filter. So let's press Control into the layer and create a mask. So now we have a masked layer, and then let's activate the mask itself. From here we are pressing into the mask, not the layer, the mask, and then go to filter and other, and there is a filter that is called minimum. Using this filter we will get rid of some fringes. Okay, so as you can see here, let's just increase it and decrease it. Okay, so let's make this maybe into the sweet spot, because if we overdo it, it will cut some parts of the image. So let's make it maybe, yeah, 0.7 is good. Press OK. Let's see before and after, before and after. Very nice. Then we can convert this into a smart object again, and let's drag it and put it here into our composite. We will use these trees, both of them. We will use this one to be put into the left, this one to be here. I think it will frame our scene in a nice way, and then we can simply mask this one. So I will create a mask, and using any brush I will just erase this one, and I will do the opposite in the opposite side. So press Ctrl J, and then let's remove the mask, Ctrl I, and I will put this one here, in this part. Be careful, because I want it to have like a subtle effect. Don't want it to be a very big tree. Very nice. And then we can mask this one. Very nice. Now we put everything in possession, and I think let's just firstly we need to change the place of the ballast and the bridge. I think it needs to be a little bit higher, maybe. Yeah, and a little bit to the left. Very good. Now we are trying to frame or to put the structure of the visual. So we're putting things into the right places. So for now, I think it looks good. And from now on, we can care about the blending.